What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. Now, today's going to be a double upload day, as obviously I'm posting Mock Draft Monday right now. But later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I will have the second segment from our most recent Trust the Bank podcast recording. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But it's Mock Draft Monday, and if you don't know about Mock Draft Monday, I do a mock draft for the Baltimore Ravens, 7 rounds, no trades, based on what the Ravens have right now, with no expectations as to what's going to be happening in the future, because sometimes we predict things and then they come out wrong, and then the mock draft makes no sense. So this is what we know about the Baltimore Ravens as of right now with the roster that they have, who I would draft. This isn't supposed to be a predictive model for what Eric DeCosta would do. This is what I think that the Ravens should do in the positions that they are put in the draft scenarios. But we have a lot of fun with it. Comment down your thoughts and opinions on all of my draft picks, as well as comment your own mock drafts, because in a lot of mock draft Mondays, I get comments of people saying their own guys and different guys that I should look into in the later rounds, because they, could be sleepers, and it's actually really helped me, learn a lot more about those different guys. So please comment your thoughts and different players you think I should target. But let's get right into it. Starting off pick 27, I went with wide receiver. I went with Terrace Marshall Jr. Now, thank you to whoever corrected me in the last video. I talked about Terrace Marshall Jr. because I was saying Terrence. Correct me if I'm ever wrong. Thank you. I don't want to sound like an idiot. I just thought it was Terrence. But so thank you to whoever corrected me and was like, no, it's Terrace. So Terrace Marshall Jr. We all know everything about Terrace Marshall Jr. I mean, just a big time bodied wide receiver. And when I was at this draft position, none of the real top tier edge rushers were still available. The only player available was really a Gregory Rousseau, and I'm not on that train whatsoever, because I want instant production from my edge rusher when I draft him. So I had to pass on that. And also Terrace Marshall Jr. is an absolute stud, and he will make an immediate impact on this Ravens offense as long as Greg Roman decides, hey, we'll actually throw it to our wide receivers. But Terrace Marshall Jr. has come out and he said things like, oh yeah, I would love to play with the Ravens, even though everybody, I say everybody, Ravens haters and Lamar haters were like, no, the Ravens will never get him, because he said he doesn't want to go to a team that doesn't throw the ball. That was taken completely out of context, and he will absolutely play for the Ravens. So Terrace Marshall Jr., I just think, is the automatic. I mean, if he's on the board, he's almost a guaranteed pick. The only guys that I would possibly take above him would be unless some ridiculous player fell. If Jamar Chase falls somehow, I'd take him. But, Terrace Marshall Jr. is very, very high on my draft board. So had to go with him at pick 27. Getting into pick 58, need an edge rusher. Went with Joseph Osai, edge rusher out of Texas. If you don't know much about him, I mean, all you need to know is that he's an edge rusher, and we desperately need an edge rusher because we don't have one. He's had good production at the edge rusher position. He has dropped into coverage. Not something that he's, a master at, but Greg Roman loves to utilize everybody in every which way. If you're Earl Thomas, all of a sudden you're going to be, hopefully I didn't say Greg Roman, Wink Martindale. If I say Greg Roman, I apologize. If I didn't, I apologize for trying to correct myself. But Wink Martindale likes to say to everybody, Earl Thomas had never gotten a sack in his career, came to Baltimore. He was flying at the quarterback. Marlon Humphrey gets thrown in there. Then we had Matthew Judon dropping back into coverage. So we got to have that versatility at the edge rusher position. And like I said, we do this as of right now. And as of right now, we do not have an edge rusher. Hopefully we're able to sign one, whether it's a Justin Houston or somebody of that caliber. I would be very happy. But as of right now, it's a must need. And, just being able to have a guy that, one, has pretty high potential, but two, has also shown some good production at a big school, in Texas. So I'd be very happy if the Ravens were able to get Joseph Osai, in the second round of the draft, as long as, they were able to get, a wide receiver or something like that in the first round. So I was pretty happy with the pick. There wasn't really a center or anything like that, or an offensive tackle. They were all taken right before me. So I wasn't able to go that route. Pick 104. This is definitely the most intriguing pick that I have in the draft. This, like I said, I do a no trade draft. This was the worst position I've ever been in when trying to do these mock drafts. There were no centers, there were no offensive tackles, there were no edge rushers, there were no real wide receivers that I was really into, and I was like, what am I going to go with? And I decided to go with Benjamin St-Juste, a cornerback out of Minnesota. He's 6'3", and his best scheme that he would fit most heavily to is a cover one, or a press man system. Well, if you did not know, the Ravens run cover one at the highest rate in the league. And obviously they do that with a heavy press man. And he would not be able to come. I mean, he's not going to be a rookie. He's a 3rd-round pick that would be able to come in and be like, oh, wow, he's starting alongside Marlon Humphrey. No, Marlon and Marcus Peters would still stay on the outside. It's just when we come out in nickel packages, we bring in that extra cornerback, we would be able to bring in Benjamin St-Juste, and he would be able to also, kind of play on the outside. We could still have Tavon in the slot, but he's got great size. He's not an overly athletic player, but you look at, kind of mid-round guys that weren't overly athletic. One that really sticks out is like a Richard Sherman. Is he Richard Sherman? No. But you can still have success without being a crazy athlete. He's got great size and physicality, and that's what the Ravens like to have. But like I said, there was just nothing available at that spot. And I wasn't going to try and take a guy that I could get in the next round because it just didn't seem worth it in my opinion. But moving into pick 131, I went with a guy that I'm a big fan of, Patrick Jones II. If you don't know about Patrick Jones, he's an edge rusher out of Pitt, and he is actually like a proven guy that can drop back into coverage as an edge rusher. So I think that would be just a major benefit, like I brought up with Osai. Just having a guy that can be able to drop into coverage, on command. But he would be more of a project. He wouldn't be getting a ton of snaps, but if the Ravens do, you look at the edge rushers that are available in, free agency, there aren't any young guys. I mean, they're all going to be veterans that's production will decrease as time goes on. So drafting depth at the edge rusher position is still an absolute need, because I don't expect the Ravens anytime soon to be signing a big time edge rusher in free agency. They're going to need to draft and develop them. So in this draft, that's what I'm trying to address, because the Ravens don't have a ton of holes. And once again, there were no offensive tackles that were really available that were right tackles. There are a fair amount that are, projected left tackles. And I just don't see the Ravens taking a guy that, was a left tackle. They'll take a right tackle, or keep Orlando Brown Jr. or something like that. But getting into the next pick 171. How much do I even have to say? It's Simi Fehoko. I've had him in every single mock draft. 6'4", ran 4.37 to 4.42 based on the area that you're looking up. A very good cone drill, very quick, great job at, his reach when you throw it to him. If it's low, he'll catch it. If it's high, he'll catch it. He's just got a great vertical threat, doesn't have a crazy route tree or anything like that. He's just a burner that's going to go deep and make contested catches, and that's exactly what he did at Stanford. That's what he'll do in the NFL. But that's all I'm going to say about him. Comment down below if you're tired of hearing me talk about Simi, or if you're all on board. Comment down below if I've convinced you to be on the Simi Fehoko train, because I love Simi Fehoko. I've been calling for him since really every video. Let's talk at all about the draft. Pick 184. This may be my favorite pick in the draft. I got Shaka Toney, edge rusher out of Penn State, and you may be like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of edge rushers. You're right, but we're going to need edge rushers, and the Ravens need to develop them. Like I said, we don't have a lot of holes on our roster. I wasn't trying to go with another wide receiver since I had already taken 2. I'd much rather, have edge rushers that, and if they don't work out, have them on the practice squad, having more risk, reducing risk in terms of bust potential for edge rushers is a big thing for me, because I'm not trying to have another Tim Williams situation where we draft Tim Williams and Tyus Bowser to be our edge rushers, and neither of them are able to develop. Not trying to knock Tyus Bowser. Love him. Very, very good football player, just not a true edge rusher. He's just a solid outside linebacker. But you got to get one that turns into an edge rusher. So I'm drafting him, and he is literally only an edge rusher. He will come in on 3rd downs, and he will rush the passer, similar to what a D Ford would do for whether it was the Chiefs or the San Francisco 49ers. Just a very, very good pass rush specialist. He's actually had more production than his 2 projected first-round picks that he played with, whether it's Yetur Gross-Matos, who was drafted last year, or I can't remember the name of the Penn State edge rusher that's in the draft this year, but likely first-round pick. They were playing across Shaka Toney, and Shaka Toney was balling out next to him. But that's pick 184. Pick 210. I went with Drake Jackson, interior offensive lineman. He's actually a center out of Kentucky. Why? We need a center. He's just got great size. He's a very, very good prospect. Like there's not much to say about him. He's just a great center. He was in college. I was absolutely shocked that he was available in the 6th round. Like, he would be an amazing draft pick. Like the drop off from him to even like a Creed Humphrey would actually be pretty minimal. So drafting him is like, it was like an absolute must pick. So the only thing that I feel like I really missed out on in this draft was the tackle position. But like I brought up, I was just in situations where the tackles just weren't available. So I just had to go with other positions. But let me know down in the comment section down below your mock drafts. If you like the players that I have, if you like Simi Fehoko, I've talked about Patrick Jones a fair amount. If you like Terrace Marshall, not going to say that wrong anymore, and also Drake Jackson. But I'll go through all my players once again. So it's Terrace Marshall Jr., Joseph Osai, Benjamin St-Juste, Patrick Jones II, Simi Fehoko, Shaka Toney, and then Drake Jackson. So those are my picks. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. And thank you all for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.